Here we go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're both
Having some monster tea this morning because I can't wake up.
yeah, we are both moving slowly today. And we have
Oh, it was just
quite a day.
It was an action-packed weekend that's going to be followed up by an action-packed week, followed up by another action-packed weekend. So here we go.
I'm a little crooked in my chair.
You
I'm
crooked?
that tired.
You crooked. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tucker and the Beard Show.
Hello.
We're glad you're here. We are glad you are here. Well, I'm going to talk about some movies today that I saw.
I'll do my best to talk about ones that I had attempted to saw. That's my incorrect English for all you teachers out there that I've been writing emails to, and you probably don't like me right now.
So with your scathing emails sent to educators, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
They're not
They're not scathing, but
But you're
voicing your frustrations with the
Yes.
current situation.
And I think we've known each other long enough, and you've seen certain emails of mine or whatever that I like to credit that I have somewhat of a skill
You've got some tact.
of nicely putting people in their place.
Sure.
Is that,
Understood.
sometimes you got to make things smell like roses.
Yeah.
And yes, I had to do that over this. Well, since
So
you've last
but
been here.
but to,
Yes.
so my question
Yes.
is when you are typing these emails,
Yes.
knowing that they are going to educators,
Yes. Oh,
do you go extra hard in the
grammatical
spell check and grammar check yard?
Yeah. And I'm usually pretty good at that. That was one of those classes I was good.
Okay.
But
It's the
really,
one place that I wasn't kind of an idiot.
Yeah. Well, 100%.
Oh man.
Well, yeah. It's like the kids doing math and stuff. I'm like, I'm out. Like that was never my subject. But English, I was always fairly good at. Didn't always write the best stories to the teachers. Listen, if it was me now in school.
Were you the kid who was like turning in English papers that were really just thinly veiled Star Wars fan fiction?
No.
Okay.
My famous one that my parents always like to bring up, and I'll talk to my kids about. I should have been, I'll say, turned in. I should have gone to the office for this.
If this happened in 2020,
if it happened now,
red flags would have been raised.
there would have been so many, and for good reason.
Sure, yeah.
No, my most famous one, I turned in. I wasn't a huge fan of this English teacher, and had to write a story. I essentially, which is funny on multiple levels, and I know what you're about to say. I wrote a slasher, like a horror story, where I had killed off about 10 of the actual teachers that worked there, including the one I was turning the paper into, in very imaginative ways.
Like Final Destination, but at school?
Like, in my mind, imaginative ways. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, the teacher that I turned it into, her head went into a mop bucket. Like
the ringer part.
The ringer part. And my parents read it and let me turn it in.
Right.
Like, there's multiple layers.
These are simpler times, obviously.
Yeah.
But so yes, just gotta kind of.
It's hard for me to read teachers' emails and they're not grammatically correct because they're in a rush between classes and they're typing.
Sure.
And it's things in quotes should be capitalized, and it's really hard for me to not call them out on it.
Right.
And be like, hey, if you want to teach my kid, how
English.
to type grammatically,
prove it to me.
Yeah. Pretty sure I just.
So what we've learned is that
enough.
you need a therapist.
Angry. Yes. No, I did at one time.
Oh.
But yes, it was.
I have so much more commentary that I will not get into.
Yeah, like it was
right now with you.
Like thinking about it now, I'm like, I should have been like walked out in straight jacket, and
there should have been some additional oversight.
Explains so much.
It really does.
But it's like
it explains a lot, and then also
I don't know why, but it was that teacher's last year too. She retired after that year.
You did her in other ways.
Just
but no, it's surprising because I guarantee you today that gets turned in
100%.
That kid
is on the news.
Yeah, that makes the news.
Right.
And for sure, that kid's potential of going into certain professions is over.
Yes. Oh, I
specifically one specific profession.
I'm just saying, if me then was me now, like if I was
right,
high schooler,
the old question of like, if you could go back 20 years ago and give some advice to your 20 years ago self, what would it be?
I was like, think of another idea.
Yeah, write a different story, bro.
Write a different story. And then tell my parents to be like, hey, just so you know.
Yeah. Tap your parents on the shoulder and be like, hey, you should.
Yeah. They bring it up with me all the time. Like, we can't believe that you did this. And I'm like, you let me.
I can't believe you.
You proofread it.
You greenlit this.
You proofread it and helped me like fix any kind of thing. And
yeah, you had notes on my continuity.
Right. Like we need more description here.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know. And so
you seem to be using the term crunch an awful lot.
Right.
Maybe
let's think of something.
Maybe let's grab a thesaurus and see if we can expand the vocabulary of this manifesto.
Yeah. Like it was dark for, and it was, again, actual, their names.
Yeah. There weren't just like similar descriptions. They were actual names.
Actual names of people where I should have been immediately like, hey, I read your story. You need to go to the principal's office.
Yeah.
We have a counselor there for you. Like,
and
you seem to have some anger issues.
Yeah. Some nice men in some white coats are going to take you to a place where you can process your emotions for a little while.
Right. So it's just time.
Because other kids a few years later had similar stories that they wrote.
Yeah, and they were.
Now, granted,
listen,
I truly, as someone who has known you for about half your life, do I think that you ever actually would have acted on that story?
Correct. I never would have.
Because sometimes it's just cathartic to talk about what you would like to do to somebody, and then it's over. You're like,
and that's what it was.
I would love to just put that dude's head in a mop bucket and wring it out, right? Like that's a thing that it's cathartic to just.
But it should have been okay. You did that. It's thrown away now.
Yeah,
you got it out of your system.
The modern day version of that is. Typing a super angry comment on social media and then deleting it before you post it. Which
we've happened to do.
I do it all the time.
I could go off right now on a couple, because off our, on the off podcast show, as I like to call it, because cameras stop and we keep going.
We keep going, and what's great is we then distill that information.
Right. Like, hey,
we don't let your story go to the public.
Right. Of going, but there's some individuals out there that have been driving me bonkers.
Okay. That's going to lead me into movie number 1.
That I was unable.
That I watched and you didn't. And this brings not to get crazy off book, but I'm going to make a different video all about this.
Okay.
That I'm gonna put up on a different channel.
Okay.
As to protect the innocent.
The innocent is me. Literally, after I just talked about the story I wrote in high school. Yes.
No, so the first movie I watched this week was a documentary titled The Social Dilemma.
Yes.
And it really, so it did a couple of things. It brought to light a couple of things that I didn't know were real. Mm-hmm. But worse than that, at least for me, was that it confirmed some things that I already did.
Okay.
Regarding how social media works.
Right.
How it's used. And as someone who has built a pretty successful career using Facebook's advertising platform.
Right.
Just how deep the levels of manipulation go.
Oh, yeah.
And so it actually caused me to do a couple of things over the last week. I don't know if you can see it, but this watch doesn't do anything but tell the time, which for me is, other than for some special occasions, the first times I've worn a watch that was not smart in almost a decade.
Now that you've pointed it out and I'm looking, I was like, I don't know the last time that I've seen you.
You haven't.
No.
No, like for real, you haven't.
Yeah, it's been
not at least
since way back in the days before.
But I was a very early adopter of the smartwatch. As somebody who worked in the wireless industry for a very long time, as you can imagine, the sounds that cell phones make began to drive me insane.
And I can see that.
And so when the smartwatch came out, I still needed to be able to answer my phone and know when information was coming in. So when that first smartwatch, it was made by Samsung, or the first widely spread one at least, that could, give you notifications. In fact, it had like this big wart-looking thing on the band where I could take pictures with it. It was like Dick Tracy for real.
Oh, fantastic.
So I was a very early adopter of that technology, and because mostly what it allowed me to do was turn my phone to silent.
Okay. And
then just get notifications via a little buzz on my wrist.
Right.
After watching this documentary, I turned off all of the notifications on my phone, other than phone calls, text messages, and email.
Okay.
Business-related stuff, I kept that because, again,
we're in the business.
I'm still accountable to that information.
Right.
But Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all of those other platforms, I can't just ditch them.
Right.
But I can control how often I engage with them.
Okay.
And by turning off the notifications and then also getting rid of the smartwatch, it just allows me to unplug until I want to plug back in.
Right.
And it's a very, very interesting documentary. It's a very interesting look into exactly the depths of the manipulation of social media and how it is and why they do it.
Right.
Because it's really, your attention is up for sale.
Yeah. I can agree. Well,
to the highest bidder.
Well, the funny part is, when's the last time you actually saw me wear this?
I know.
It's funny.
You almost never wear yours.
No, because it's
where I always wear mine.
You can confirm it's not even on.
It's just for show.
I didn't even turn it up, but just because. Well, I forgot to, but I've left it uncharged and everything like that because it drives me crazy. It doesn't sync correctly, and kind of like what it's given me.
It's everything,
and I'm like, oh my God. And so I finally, like, when I have worn it in the past, before I haven't, like, I'll probably get a notification be like, you haven't worn this. It hasn't been on in 6 months or something. It's been a really long time. But it doesn't sync correctly, and I have to do all sorts of stuff. But it's giving me notifications about stuff that is drawing my attention away from having conversations.
Right. Because it's always like, is that important? Is it not important? Right.
Well, and it's like
the only things that are making noise at all on my phone are things that I deem to be important.
Right.
So
no, and I 100% agree with that, and it's a conversation I have, my family all the time. We have a lot of electronic devices, and I'm, guilty at some time where you get, commercial break.
Right.
And you hop on your phone and do that, and you just, what are you doing?
I really don't know.
Like, I have no answer for you. I was just bored.
Yeah.
Or,
I decided to check,
But it's almost...
The thing told me I should look at it, so I looked at the thing.
But it's almost like autopilot. That's the times that it scares me, is where it's just... Yeah. You're on... until somebody says something to me, which is usually my wife being like, oh, what are you looking at? Or, what are you doing? And I'm like, do I even realize what I'm doing? I'm like, oh, nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah. Well, and then just the way that the algorithms are used. Mm-hmm. I believe that they set out with basically the best of intentions, right? Let's show people what they want to see. This will keep them on the platform longer,
right? And
therefore give us more opportunities to sell their attention.
Right.
Listen, they have to make money.
Right.
And I support their ability to make money.
Right.
Don't get it sideways whatsoever.
Yeah. It's a business.
It's a business. But in doing so, what it's allowed people to do is create these echo chambers for themselves, where they're only hearing their own opinions bounced back at them.
I've noticed that a lot lately, given the political thing, that if you look at something or, whatever, that you just get bombarded by that one perspective.
Right.
And not opening that can, because we had those political conversations, but it's like, okay, I'm not, whatever. I'm not either way. I just want the best person for the job. But if you have friends that are one side,
right,
or everything like that, that's just what I've noticed, where I'll get, little sponsored articles and stuff like that that are very one-sided. Well, and I'm like, what? Okay.
And it goes even deeper than that, because, I'll have a conversation with somebody, and like an actual, like,
human being,
face-to-face conversation. Right. And they're like, I can't believe that this person can't see this thing. It's everywhere.
Right.
But it's not.
Right.
It's everywhere to you.
Right.
Because you have created this chamber for yourself to where this is all you see. And this person has created a chamber for themselves where this other thing is all that they see. So this thing that's everywhere and pervasive and quote unquote obvious to you just isn't.
Right.
And what that does is inevitably increases divisiveness.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I've noticed it also when my wife will, if I show her something on my Facebook or whatever, and then, as people tend to do, because she knows a lot of the same people that I know and stuff,
right.
So she's kind of scrolling through, and she's like, "Oh, your Facebook sucks." Like,
right.
Just because it's things that I've interacted with or whatever, cameras to
exactly
different thing, like is
every now and then an oddball slips through. I think you and I got the same Wish recommendation the other day.
I was like, there's so many jokes. We need to address it right now because there's so many. Because you
and I don't even know. This was just, it was a statue of a head.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the one that I texted yet.
No. There was this statue of a head. It was just like a screaming person.
Yes. We got the same exact.
We got the same ad, but the rest of the recommendations, because like what I like to look for on Wish is like maybe there's a good deal on some like either audio or video support equipment. I would never buy something like a camera or anything like that on Wish. I just don't trust them very much.
Yeah.
But, you know, hey, I picked up some sound deadening foam for 75 cents.
Yeah.
You know, so that kind of stuff. Or like camping support gear, things like, you know, just because it's fun to look at mostly. So like that's the majority of my Wish recommendation. And then it's just this one screaming head.
Yeah. No, listen, and I'll get some really weird recommendations sometimes from Wish. This is not the show to discuss that.
Okay.
Like, well, you'll be just scrolling along and be like, oh, no, what is going on? But yes, we got the weird statue.
Screaming head thing.
But was it yesterday or the day before? It doesn't matter because I texted it to you being like, there's a lot of different thoughts. And it was a Blu-ray. I'm guessing self-made,
like
because it's
bootleg Blu-ray of Song of the South,
the old Disney film Song of the South, which is like
firmly locked in the very back of the Disney vault.
That's not coming out, ever, because it has been deemed racially unjust.
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
right.
That's the reason that they're changing Splash Mountain. Splash Mountain was based off of Song of the South. But because it is racially not correct.
Yeah.
I'm making sure we're hitting that home that I'm not. I mean, as a kid, you didn't get that, but as you get, you're like, oh.
You're like, oh, that, again, things sometimes don't age well.
Which will segue into another movie.
It's perfectly acceptable, by the way, to change the way that you see and feel about things as new information is presented or as time goes by.
You go, you know what? That probably wasn't.
That's the biggest gripe I have with cancel culture. Mm-hmm. Is like, let's go back 50 years and see that this person said something bad.
Right.
Okay. I get it.
Yeah.
That was not okay.
And they know it's not okay now.
And then look, but let's talk about who they are now. And have they grown and changed as a person?
Yeah.
Have they done good in the world? Okay.
We
need to accept that
are they still doing this thing?
Sometimes people are idiots when they're young.
Right. Would I write a story right now about killing off teachers?
No.
No,
you wouldn't.
I know better. I know better now.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to some of my buddy had a video camera when we were teenagers, and some of the videos that we made would absolutely get us in a lot of trouble these days.
Yeah. But you think it's funny?
We thought it was hilarious. Well, that was back in the day when
CKY
Jackass and CKY were like a big thing.
Yep, I know those moments.
It was really just more aggressive America's Funniest Home Videos.
Right.
And so we would do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And we would capture it on video.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that those were on celluloid.
Because
and not on the internet.
Well, I was thinking of the same thing, that my friends and I did the same stupid type stuff and recorded it and thought it was hilarious and awesome, and thank God it wasn't like, hey, I'm gonna post this right now, because we would have.
Sure. Yeah. Today I'm like, oh, this is hilarious.
This is hilarious. We're gonna go ahead and post this.
There was one time where my friends and I used to work at a restaurant that I won't name. And I was making food for myself. I feel it's really important to distinguish this one fact.
Okay.
I was making food for myself. And my buddy was like videoing. So I was like, it'd be really hilarious is if I just dropped my pants while I'm making my food. And so I did.
Right.
I wasn't making food for a customer.
This next sandwich Sunday is going to be...
Oh, little did you know that I'm always pantsless in those videos. That's why you can only see me from the waist up.
Just like Winnie the Pooh.
But it was a funny thing. We had made several videos with us dropping our pants and just walking around in places where it was inappropriate.
Right.
There's one time where we got a video of me tackling one of my other friends in the entrance of Walmart, right in front of the greeter.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
The greeter didn't think so.
Right.
It wasn't
a thing.
It wasn't a nice thing to do. We
Right.
did it to freak out the greeter.
Right.
My buddy walked in on crutches he didn't need.
Right.
To amplify the shock factor for anyone who might have seen it.
Right.
It was funny.
Right.
To us.
Right.
At the time. I probably wouldn't make that same video today.
No. Well, and it was...
And I'm certainly not going to make a video of myself with my pants down.
Right.
While making food at a restaurant.
Right. Yeah. It's just one of those things. Well, I remember my friends and I once it was 10 o'clock at night at time that Target would be closing.
Right.
Lights were going off. They were closing their doors.
Attention Target customers. We're closing.
We really wanted to find, do you remember sock and boppers?
Yeah.
We thought it'd be funny to get some sock and boppers and just box.
In the middle of the store.
But we needed the sock and boppers.
Sure.
Hey, let's run to Target real quick and get some sock and boppers. I go running in, sprinting, as lights are going down. They're closing doors.
Yeah.
And they have like this hard right turn.
Yeah.
Like you can go straight or you can go right.
Yeah.
I got up on like one leg skipping. Right? Like cartoonish.
Yeah. Cartoonish.
As I'm running in, and I have people chasing after me because I'm running into Target as they're closing their doors, and all I can yell is, "I want sock and boppers," is all I'm yelling. Yeah, it didn't go over well.
No.
Like nothing came of it or whatever, because as soon as they realized that it was like, hey,
I'm just here for the sock and boppers.
Sock and boppers. Like they kind of laugh and kick us out, and
no, it's come back tomorrow, idiot.
It's closing time.
Yeah.
But yeah, just things like that I set you up and you didn't take it. I'm proud of you.
Hey, copyrights.
True that.
No, I mean, like one time we got harassed by the tribal police.
Okay.
In the old Walmart parking lot.
Okay.
Because again, what we thought would have been the greatest idea in the world is to go buy this big stainless steel oil drip pan. Right? So you put it under your car if you got a leak or something, and keeps it from getting on your driveway or whatever.
Right.
But we had not intended to use it for its intended purpose.
Yes.
We placed it on the ground behind my friend's car and stood on it while holding on to the back of my friend's car, and we're driving around that parking lot. The tribal police were not amused.
They didn't find that as funny.
They didn't find it as funny as we did.
Yeah,
it was fun though.
Yeah. That's what I said. Like, hey, luckily nothing happened.
Right.
For all the stupid stuff that
no one got hurt.
I didn't when I was younger, and you did.
Obviously
when you were young.
Did, yeah.
None of us ever got hurt, luckily.
Yeah.
Or got in trouble that would have ruined. But again, if it was us now.
Well, I look back on those moments where there were a camera running, and I'm like, listen.
There's probably footage.
Like, it would be cool. Like, that would be a funny short clip.
Yeah.
Like, I can see why people post it, because, again, to you, that's you and your friends just goofing off, and it's funny.
Right.
And you have a good time with it. But, then you get people working at Burger King bathing in the dishwashing sink.
Not okay.
And they're posting the pictures and videos of this and
thinking nothing's going to happen.
And then it does.
Right.
Mysteriously, when there's that one iconic picture of the Taco Bell worker with a big old stack of taco shells just licking it.
Yeah.
You know, we never like that was the thing is like the only stuff that we were videoing and doing, even
affected
if
us.
yeah, like if somebody got hurt, it would have been one of us.
Right.
No one else was at risk. You know, when I'm sitting there half dressed making food, it was my own food.
Right.
I wasn't even working that day. It was just,
right.
Hey,
this would be funny.
I'm going to make some food real quick.
Right.
Like you do when you're a kid and you work at a restaurant. And then my buddy breaks out his video camera and I'm like, whoa.
Time to drop trow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't even know how we got to this place.
Well, just the
or how to wrap
algorithms
this up, but,
and stuff like that. But we've discussed the algorithms before because all of a sudden
I've exploited these same algorithms.
Yeah.
And I'm not sorry for it.
Right. It's a thing. If you figure it out, it's good.
It's
good
a
on
key
you.
to making money.
Yeah.
And so it's useful. But you should also be aware before you get all offended or before you get all huffy about things. Realize that the person who wrote that article that you're getting so huffy about has almost always, there's no journalistic integrity involved.
Mm-hmm.
They're literally just writing a headline to get you riled up.
Yeah.
And most of the time, even if you just read through the article, you will realize that the headline is a gross overstatement of the actual content of the article.
Yes.
You know, clickbait is a real thing. And it's just, you should be more aware of it. I highly recommend watching this documentary.
No,
because I'm not canceling Netflix, and I'm also not canceling Facebook either.
Yes. But yeah, no, that's
we can go into the.
No, I know. I was like, I'm stopping. But no,
you can cancel Netflix after you stop posting pictures of your kids in tiny tot cheerleading outfits.
Yeah.
And why don't we tackle the child beauty pageant thing first?
Oh, that's a whole.
And then we can talk about why a movie is made.
Yes.
Movies are made for one reason: to make money.
Yes.
To get eyeballs. So if a movie gets made, you got to go, who wants to see that?
Yeah. Evidently, there was enough interest.
Yes.
For people to go, okay, green light.
Let's make this movie.
Sounds
good.
Let's
make a movie. Because people will probably want to see this.
Yeah.
And why do they think that? Because they look at our culture and go, look at all these people.
Yeah.
They're putting their children in these beauty pageants and on these cheerleading teams and all of this, and look at the costumes that they're wearing when they're at their dance recital.
Yeah.
And they go, well, this is obviously something that's acceptable
in this culture. Yeah.
And we're in a world where we're talking so much about people wanting to be represented on the screen. Mm-hmm. Right? Which is why the Academy now has all these new inclusion restrictions for Best Picture.
Yes.
Right? Everyone wants to see themselves on screen.
Right.
In some way, shape, or form.
Correct.
Why are the little kids that you're putting in ball gowns, tiaras, swimsuits, cheerleading outfits, they're no different. They want to see themselves represented on screen. So who's really to blame?
Yeah. Don't watch the show.
Yeah, don't watch it. I'm not going to watch the show.
Guess what? I don't watch things, just kind of going back to algorithms for a second.
Right.
I don't watch similar shows, or however you want to put that. So that doesn't even come up on my feed.
No.
At all.
And you know what? So the
I'm
whole cancel Netflix hashtag has done? It has done it catapulted that show into the top 10 on Netflix.
Yeah, everybody's
because all you've done is draw attention to something.
Yeah.
Stop drawing attention to things that you don't agree with.
Yeah. I wouldn't have even known about it. I seriously wouldn't have even known about it if people wouldn't have said it, which makes me go, oh, well, I have no interest in watching anything like that, so I'm not seeking it out. But it doesn't come up.
The last movie I watched about cheerleaders was Bring It On when it came out in theaters.
Jazz fingers.
Spirit fingers. Jazz
That's
hands.
true. Jazz hands.
Come on. You're a disgrace. No, but that was literally, I mean, we're at 2002? 2000? Somewhere
Well, this
in
is
that.
2020.
Yeah. Like 2002 is when
Just
Bring It
joking.
On
Yes.
came out.
Yes.
Somewhere in that ballpark.
Yes.
And so, yeah, it's been that long since I watched a film around, that was based on cheerleading.
Yeah.
And I went with my then fiance, now wife.
Yes.
It wasn't my turn to pick the movie.
But it's okay. Listen, again, I'm going straight. It's okay. I just want to tell you.
It's okay.
Support group.
I'm not saying that I hated the movie. I'm just saying I didn't choose it.
I'm getting all serious. I'm like, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay that you saw Bring It On.
I
It was
know.
okay then.
It's okay now.
It's okay now.
Everything's going to be okay.
You guys, whatever shows you want to watch, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's my PSA.
Watch what you like.
Soon. And it's okay.
But yes. Anyway, so yeah, that's why also I'm not canceling Netflix.
Yeah.
And I'm not quitting Facebook either.
Yeah.
I like Facebook.
Yeah. It's
I
part
like
of it.
being able to interact with friends and family from around the world.
I've thought about, there's been family and people that I
enjoy it.
interact with all the time that I wouldn't
Absolutely.
get the chance to. And people that would just kind of, I remember being a kid and going to camp every year and meeting those friends and everything like that. And at the end of that week, it was bye. There was no contact
Yeah.
with it. Now it would be
It's just like,
hey
hey,
man, I'll,
hit me up.
yeah.
Follow me on the gram. Whatever
Here's
it
my-
is.
I just sent you a
Yeah.
friend request.
But it's all, there's some really great points about these social media avenues. I enjoy using them.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I make no false pretenses in the fact that I have used them to help build my career.
Correct.
I'm not ashamed of that,
Right.
and I won't apologize for it. But
just be careful and know what you're doing.
But
Yeah.
understand that that's all it is. And guess what? It's not just social media.
Mm-hmm.
It's traditional media too. If you think that your attention isn't being bought and paid for when you're watching whatever news channel that you're watching, you're wrong.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
And if you think that they're not manipulating you in the same exact way, I've got a great deal on a slightly used bridge for you.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I've known that for quite some time. When it's different channels are different perspectives, and like you said, they're just buying your.
They're just purchasing your attention. That's it. That's all they're doing. It's really not been any different since the dawn of advertisement.
Yep.
People are paying money to buy your attention.
Yeah. No, I've been really wanted to watch that documentary, and then the other movie I'd started it and quickly fell asleep. And I think I have to be in the mood for it too.
You
and
do.
not be,
It's heavy,
yeah.
but it's
What's it called
so
again?
good. It's called The Devil All the Time.
There it is.
And it is amazing what you can get when you put Batman, Spider-Man, Dudley Dursley,
Winter Soldier.
and the Winter Soldier, and Pennywise the Clown
Okay.
in one movie
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with any
of those
of the things that made those people famous.
Yeah. No, I'll be checking that out.
It is an amazing movie. It is. You remember last year when what was that Martin Scorsese film that went straight to Netflix?
Paint Houses one.
Yeah, I heard Paint Houses. That was the name of the book.
Robert De Niro.
Yeah.
Al Pacino.
Regardless,
That flick.
they released that for one weekend in the movie theaters, specifically because the Academy does not consider films that go straight to streaming services.
That's what they're gonna have to do now.
Right?
That might change.
That's going to have to change.
It's gonna have to change.
But because of that, they released that movie in theaters. And this one could be a contender.
Yeah. No, I definitely
it was
want
an
to.
amazing movie. It was. You remember the movie Crash?
Yeah,
Right? How kind of all of these seemingly
different
unrelated stories come together at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if that was even darker than Crash was.
Yeah.
And set in, Appalachia instead of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
No,
I definitely want
backwoods
to
of
see
Ohio and West Virginia. An amazing, amazing movie.
Yeah.
Not for the kids.
Yeah. Oh, and that's...
And I say that not because I think people would think that it was, but again, it is starring...
It's our job.
No, it's starring Tom Holland.
Right.
It's, again, it's got Spider-Man, Edward Cullen / Batman.
The new Batman, which he's healthy now.
He kicked the Rona.
He kicked the Rona, so...
That 99% survival rate coming through for us again. So, yeah, I mean, you've got all of these characters that are typically in movies that are geared toward children.
Yeah.
These
that
actors
are more family friendly.
And this one's not.
Yeah. No, I definitely want to check it out. I think it's going to be... The rest of my family will... Not counting my kid, but I don't think my wife would have any interest in it. But... So that was one of the reasons.
It's really good, but it's slow moving.
Yeah.
It's very, very character driven though.
Yeah.
And so, it's definitely not an action movie, but it's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
It was really, really good and hard to watch for all the right reasons.
Understood. And I think that was one of those things, like I'd kind of delayed it because I was waiting to see if my wife was going to want to watch it, if we were going to sit down and watch it and then it got to be last night. And yeah, as my son told me this morning, he was like, "Oh, you passed out," like kind of sitting up style.
And Alice from Alice in Wonderland was all, they took the bulk of this cast from movies that are geared toward little kids.
Right on.
Like the girl who played Alice in the most recent, the live action.
Right.
Alice in Wonderland played a character in there as well.
Nice. I'll check it out.
Super good. One that was a little bit more fun, but still, it was a nice spin on your typical superhero type movie. Was Project Power.
Yeah, I wanted to check that one out. Jamie Foxx is one of those. It's either hit or miss for me.
This one hit. It was good. It was good.
I don't dislike, but there's been some movies.
Sure.
I didn't really care for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and it's,
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and then others where I'm like, that was awesome.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in this one as well, and it was solid. It was solid.
Yeah.
But yeah, just again a very, very different take on the superhero genre, so to speak.
And I haven't continued with, speaking of that, I haven't continued with The Boys yet. It's been...
I didn't have time for that this week.
Yeah. So, that's some movies. I'll catch up on the other ones this week. And we have quite the week ahead of us.
Yes, we do.
Even starting now.
Right now. So, yeah, that's going to do it for us for today. As always, thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
Listening, subscribing.
We appreciate it.
We really do. Until next time, he's Tucker.
He's Beard.
And we're out.